Hi everyone, welcome to my kitchen. I'm recording another little video for you today for our coral bleaching lesson. So in a previous lesson we looked at the effect of increasingly acidic conditions on seashells, and today we're going to be looking at the effect on coral. Now, of course it's very difficult for me to get some coral at the moment, so I'm going to be using some basic household items to represent those corals. Now we think of corals as being beautiful, colourful, tropical creatures, and of course if they are healthy then that's how they should be. So today I'm going to use some eggs, and bear with me, I have coloured one of them slightly using some food dye. So this is not a greenly rotten egg, it has actually just been coloured with some food dye, and I've got one that it's a normal egg. Now they've both been hard boiled, so you don't want to use a raw egg for this, otherwise you might end up with a horrible mess. And what we're going to do is see what the effect is of increasingly acidic ocean conditions on the shell of the egg. And the shell of the egg is going to simulate our coral. So what we are expecting to see is that there may be some breakdown of the egg. And of course, because the shell is very similar to the seashells that we did in the last lesson, we should see that it breaks down hopefully over time. Now this could take about 12 to 24, maybe even 48 hours for this to work. So I'm going to record the setup and then we're going to come back and look at the results another day. So to do this you're going to need a jar or a glass or something that you can put your eggs into. Please, like I say, make sure they are hard boiled in advance so that they are not going to make a horrible mess. We're going to add some vinegar, and we're going to add enough vinegar to cover the egg. So it does require quite a lot, and as I said in earlier videos, please make sure you are asking permission of an adult at home before you take any of these things, and make sure you're not using the really nice expensive things that you have at home. Make sure you're just using something cheap that doesn't matter if we waste it. So what we're going to do, I'm actually going to set up two here, so I'm going to make 2 jars worth, and I'm going to put 1 egg in each because one of the eggs is coloured and the other is not. And we're going to see if there's a difference, because corals, when they expel their algae, tend to turn white because it's the algae that gives them that beautiful colour. So we should get the effect of coral bleaching. Now, if I just put those side by side, one is slightly lower than the other. So to make this test, to make this a valid test, I'm going to make sure I've got the exact same amount. If I had a measuring, I do have a measuring cup, but it's not really for this purpose. It wouldn't really work very well for measuring this. It's not like a measuring cylinder that we have in the science labs. So what we're going to do is pop our eggs, 1 into each, and we're going to see how they cope with the conditions. So this is now an acidic environment, and it represents the increasing acidity of the oceans and the increase in carbonic acid, because when carbon dioxide from fossil fuels is produced, when fossil fuels are burned, then we end up with carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. It mixes with water, carbon dioxide and water makes carbonic acid. It then comes down into our oceans, rivers, lakes as acid rain, and it makes them more acidic as well. So we're going to see what happens to our corals. Okay, so this is the coloured egg and this is the normal egg, and we're going to see what happens. These are of course not going to be eaten afterwards, so if you do decide to do this, please make sure you're asking the permission of an adult to use a couple of eggs and that they don't mind them being wasted. So we just pop those in gently, try and pop them in as gently as possible. If you've got some tongs or something, that'd be really helpful so you don't crack the shells, because what we want is the effect of the vinegar, of the acid, because vinegar is acetic acid, and we want the effect of that on the shells, not you breaking them. So we're going to come back to these in a few hours time and have a look at them. It might even be the next day, much like we did with the seashells. I don't know if you guys can see this very well on there, but I could actually see some bubbles coming off on this one already. So we are already getting a reaction going on between the shell and the acetic acid in the vinegar. And because this one has been dyed to represent the colourful corals, what we might see is the colour of the water changing with the one that's been dyed as the colour is expelled into the vinegar. So we'll see, we'll keep an eye on those, and I'll probably come back to you either in a few hours or possibly the next day. We'll see how this goes. Thank you. Hello everybody, it's been about 2 hours since I set this experiment up, and you can now see on the one that I dyed green, we've now got a patch of the sort of outer layer of the egg there that has had its colour removed. So we can see clear evidence there of the acid eating away at that outer layer of the eggshell. If we have a little look at the one that wasn't coloured, we've also got quite a lot of bubbles on the surface there, so it is eating its way through that eggshell as well, but it's clear difference actually on the one that was dyed green. So I'd be interested to find out if you guys get similar results if you manage to have a go at this, and we'll be back in a few more hours to see how things have changed. Hello everybody, it's about 3 hours since I set this experiment up, and you can see the one that I had coloured green has expelled all of its green dye. So there's like a layer of that green dye has come completely off, and then just for comparison we've got a normal egg on the side there. But you can see, especially on the normal coloured egg, there's now some sort of patterning where the acid has been eating away at the calcium in the shell. So we'll come back to these again later on and see how they are getting on. Hi everyone, so I did actually give in and persevere for a few hours longer with my egg experiment, and actually it turned out to be worth it because I've just taken these out to rinse them and throw them away, and what's happened basically is that the shell has dissolved so completely that I can just wipe it off with a bit of kitchen roll. Okay, so if you do leave this for about 24 hours, then you will get the shell in to a point where it can just be wiped away. Excuse my scruffy nails. It can just be wiped away with a bit of kitchen roll, which is quite remarkable really when you think about how tough an eggshell can actually be. So thank you all for